recording. So, Mike, you can go ahead and take it away.
Well, thank you, and welcome everybody to our monthly update. We are, 6 weeks into the new year, and I thought we would. I'm gonna go into a little bit more data than I usually do, and it's a lot of it's kind of at the company level. I've got some at the Andavo level as well, but I thought it might be good. We've talked a lot about kind of the hope we had last year for the first quarter. And in all of our divisions, actually, the Q1 is always our best quarter. It's our best quarter for our business travel divisions. It's our best quarter for our leisure travel divisions. And so we've been kind of waiting for Q1 to get here in anticipation. And I will tell you that it started out absolutely started out and has been better than anything we saw in Q4. And this slide here is the airline tickets that we have issued as a company, which includes all four of our brands. And as you can see, it was going on, and this is right, this is the entire pandemic. This is all the way back to the first week of April through actually the week before last is when this was prepared. We're still closing out the ARC week for this week. But as you can see, the first 6 weeks of 2021 were definitely better than anything in 2020, which was positive. And I realize that every leisure booking that we do does not include an airline ticket, but it is a good proxy for whether or not people are traveling or willing to travel. And just to give you an example, we were averaging back in September and October, we were averaging around 475 tickets a day during that 2-month period, which is kind of right here. And this drop right here is Thanksgiving. And then these drops here are the Christmas week, and our business goes way down during that week, those 2 weeks all the time, the week before Christmas and New Year's. And we were averaging about 475. In January, we got up to 575 on average. So those are those 4 weeks. And then in February, we've been averaging about 625 already for the first 2 to 3 weeks of the year. So that's a good indication that things are coming back. And the question is, how does that compare to what we would have expected Q1 to look like based on the previous year? And I'll show you that data in a minute. Oh, and by the way, just to compare that 500 to 600 tickets a day number, we were issuing in the same period last year about 3,000 tickets a day. So, it's maybe 15, between 15 and 20% of what we were doing last year, and I'll show you some data on that. The next slide is this is enterprise-wide, all four brands. Same story, and these are dollar sales during the entire pandemic, from the first week of April until the first half of February. Same story. We had 1 week during the entire pandemic. We had 1 week where we actually booked more than $3 million in travel. It was back here in October. And I'm going to show you the Andavo slide in a minute, and you'll be able to see these 3 great weeks were actually a result of the Andavo division had 3 great weeks, those back in October, which contributed to that. But as you can see, every week this year has been above 3 million. So to have 1 week last year above 3 and every week this year above 3 is a good positive indication that things are starting to slowly come back. So the question is, well, and then here's the Andavo. You can see some of these big weeks back in October. We had 3 really great weeks back in October with the Andavo division. They were mostly a result of 2 or 3 giant bookings that some of you made, some really gigantic, multi-$100,000 type bookings that sort of distorted that a little bit, but we'll take it, right? Great bookings. But if you sort of smooth those out and into the average, you can see the average. And this, by the way, this is from early August through last week, and as you can see, this one is still the same story, a nice steady incline. And even with the Andavo, you did have more than 3. You had 3 weeks during the entire pandemic last year where you booked as a team, as a group, more than $400,000 in a week, and you've already had 3 weeks this year that you've booked. 4 counting that one. I guess that one went a little over 400. So And this is the President's Day week here, which always drops a little bit for whatever reason. But a nice steady increase and some good weeks. This was some really detailed data on what happened in January, and this is all of our divisions. But I took it down to a daily level because different months have different numbers of days in them, and that can distort the numbers quite a bit. So I went and looked at and because November and December always slow down, I went back to the best month of 2019 and compared it to January of 2020. Not the best month, but 3 months earlier, October of 2019, the best of Q4, and compared it to see what happened from 2019 to 2020. And we had an 8% bump in the total sales and a 15% bump in ticket sales. To compare that same analysis for this year, October 2020 compared to January of 2021, we had a 14% bump in sales, and that much of the reason that the sales are higher than the ticketing is because of the Andavo division. There's some other information that and I'll show you that in a minute. But the Andavo division does book more in non-airline ticket type bookings, and so that's a good sign. That indicates that if you just purely looked at the sales, you would say, well, we probably got 8% of the bump from just the normal seasonal cyclical bump that happens from Q4 to Q1 of the next year. And then, comparing it to the previous year. And then 6% was actually people returning to travel, people booking more travel than previously. So that was positive, especially for your division. Airline tickets, not quite as positive. The bump was lower than what we had last year. Last year, we got a 15% bump in Q1, in January rather. This year, only 13%. So that indicates that, particularly on the corporate travel side, that the seasonal part of it didn't even make up for, the return to travel part rather didn't make up for the seasonal. So little bit more sluggish on the corporate side. This here is the same analysis, but this one is just comparing the month of January of last year to the month of January this year. So 66 million in bookings last year in January, 13 million this year, down 80%. That's kind of industry wide what we're seeing. I'll show you some more data on that. But the big difference is, and by the way, tours and cruises, which is pure 100% in the leisure bucket, exactly 5% last year, exactly 5% this year. I thought that was interesting. But the big change is that we're booking a lot more in cars and hotels than last year, and relative to the pie. So last year, hotels were only 27% of the pie. This year, they're 48% of the pie. Total sales are down 80%. Hotels are only down 65%. Some of this is leisure. A lot of it's corporate. We have some large corporate clients that are doing a lot of car and hotel bookings as a result of the kind of travel that they're doing, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that too. So the question is, how does this compare to the industry? Well, wait, one more slide on us. This is just airline tickets year over year, how many airline tickets we issued each week. And as you can see, it started out, we had a little bit slower week at the beginning of the year, 84, and then it was down to 82% for 2 weeks, and then it started improving, and it's improved the last 3 weeks, down 78, down 81, down 78. And I think last week was even better than this. I haven't looked at that yet, but I think last week was better than this. But this is what I want to do, is compare it to the industry. So the industry is just dead flat. Bottom line is corporate travel agencies. Center line is leisure travel agencies, and the top line is online booking, the Pricelines and Expedias. And you guys, the leisure is doing far better than our corporate division. We see that internally as well as nationally. But this is the number that's just sort of annoying, is just the industry on the corporate particularly, which is where most of our tickets are issued, is just flat out down 85% steady across the entire line. There's a little bump up, and then it went down, and then it went up, and then it just leveled back out at that down 85. So we're doing a little, if you remember that previous slide, we're doing just a little bit better. That's not what I wanted to do. I'll get back to that previous one. We're down, let's say the last 4 weeks, say an average of somewhere near 80%. It's probably pretty close. We're down 80. The industry's on the corporate side's down 85. So we're doing a little bit better than the industry, which is at least a good sign that we're doing a little bit better. And the Andavo division is doing a lot better than the corporate division, which is, good for you guys. And I'm really happy about that. I shouldn't say you're doing better. You're doing less worse. You guys are down 75%. The other divisions are down more than 80%. We're averaging down about 80%. But you're doing, significantly, relatively speaking, doing much better than corporate. The Sabre had a survey they published last week where they compared all of the bookings for all Sabre agencies, and they said that their numbers tied just with ours. They said that they were down about an average of 80% on their bookings, and that corporate was down more than that, leisure was down less than that, and the weighted average between the two was about 80%. It's exactly where we're at. If you remember that January slide that I showed you, we were down a weighted average of 80%. Exactly what Sabre said. ASTA had a survey last week that was really quite discouraging, but it was interesting. They interviewed, I think, 1,500 members, American Society of Travel Agents, interviewed 1,500 members, and they determined that on average there, and we didn't participate in the survey, by the way. Not sure why I didn't, but we didn't participate. But they were down an average of 82% in the revenue across the board, which is, right in the ballpark of where we are. We're down just a little bit less than that, maybe 80. But they said that in their survey, 70% of the travel agencies across the United States said that they would be out of business in 6 months if things didn't, improve between now and then. And then they said that 85% of the travel agencies said they would be out of business in 12 months if things didn't improve between now and then. Now that sounds really pessimistic, and it's based on the fact that things don't improve, which I think we all know they will. But it also gave me an interesting benchmark for the level of, or the lack of, optimism. I am 100% certain that we will be in business in 6 months. I'm 100% certain that we'll still be in business in 12 months. And 85% of the travel agency, I'm 100% certain that things will improve and that we'll be in business no matter what. And to have 85% of those travel agency owners suggest that if things didn't get better, they'd be out of business, I thought was sort of interesting. I wanted to just chat for a moment about travel, and this is about the lack of travel. And I'm not going to tell you anything that you don't know, because it's not rocket science as to why people aren't traveling. But I thought I would, just share my thoughts anyway. As I've been thinking about, and particularly just looking at that chart that just shows that things are just dead flat for a year, like the last 9 months, things have not improved at all in the industry. Last six months, I should say, because it was worse in the beginning, and it did get slightly better, and then it leveled out. As I've been thinking about it, particularly on the business travel side, people travel to collaborate for several reasons. One of them is to collaborate, and they're going to collaborate with either clients, employees, or vendors. All of our clients, employees, and vendors are working at home for the most part. And so you can't travel to a city and then visit someone in their home to collaborate with them. You just don't. People just don't do that. And so for that reason, nobody's traveling. Then the other thing, and this is more in the leisure category. This one applies to Andavo, AMI, and CV Humanitarian, and Christofferson to an extent, is that people travel to celebrate and educate. And that's all of those, the big group trips that many of you book, where there's big celebrations, family celebrations for anniversaries, and big family events, destination weddings, all of those sorts of things that people travel for leisure to celebrate, or to on the case of AMI, incentive trips, or in the case of Christofferson, conferences and training, things like that. Well, the problem is that nobody can get together in those groups because of the social distancing, issues that are going on, and so nobody's traveling for that. And so that leaves sort of two categories. One is people that are traveling to see family or go on really, domestic sorts of vacations. And the other is people that work in a different location than they live. And that's about all we're doing right now is travel that are, in those categories. People visiting families, people going on domestic vacations and on a limited basis, and then those people that work in different locations. And we have quite a few clients that work in different locations where they're medical staffing companies that have to send their employees to a different location in order to physically do the work. Or in the case of our university division, we've seen our university travel pick up, but it's all athletic travel. It's the folks that are playing the games in a different location than where their home is, and apparently that limited amount of travel is about 80% or 20% rather of what we've been doing before, and just stuck at that. So what does all this mean? I've just been kind of meandering with a lot of data, and I wanted to go into more data this time because we've all been so anxious to see what happened in Q1. But what does it mean? For us, it means that we're still in great financial shape. We still have the liquidity to get through this, the optimism to get through this, the business plan to get through this, and we will get through it. And so we haven't, it hasn't changed my view, even though it wasn't as good as we had maybe hoped. It was good enough, and I'm, getting progressively more optimistic as we start to see these vaccines roll out. Hey, Camille and I have our own vaccine appointments this week. Finally, we have appointments to get our vaccines this week on Wednesday. So we in Utah, they dropped the age over the weekend to 65. So they're vaccinating the 65-year-olds. So I'm seeing that as a positive sign. There was also an article in the Wall Street Journal. I think it was Saturday. It was either Friday or Saturday. That was, it's just one opinion. It's the medical writer for the Wall Street Journal, and she is predicting that we'll start to see some herd immunity take place next month, actually, by the end of next month. And she gave a lot of data as to why she thinks that. We've been seeing the national numbers trend down for the last 6 weeks, so at least there's some optimism that could be real and it's not just a fluke. But in any case, we're hanging in there tough, and plan on being here for you through the rest of this, and when it's over. The other thing I wanted to mention is that I was interviewed by a publication last week, and they printed the article. It's a publication that is membership only, so we can't publish it. You can only publish it if you can only read it if you have a paid membership. So we can't publish it, but it's an organization called The Beat, and they published a fairly complimentary article about our company and about what we were doing, and how we were getting through this thing. But the one thing that was interesting is that I had told him that just before the pandemic started, we announced $1 billion sales goal, and then we were on, we had just finished a year of about 700 million, and that we announced that we were going to hit $1 billion. And then of course the pandemic hit, and that went out the window. But I did tell him that I was optimistic that we would get back on track and reach that goal at some point, and he published that. So we have now publicly announced that we are going to become $1 billion company. And so, once you publicly announce something like that, you've got to make it happen, right? So, we are back. We are back with the optimism that we're going to start growing again, and eventually hit $1 billion. With that, I will end my prepared presentation and open it up for Q&A. So hit me with some questions in the chat box.
We have a couple of people that are on their vaccines. Jackie has gotten her second shot last week.
Second shots last week.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Awesome. And then Diane and Frank are on their way to get theirs. Diane's getting her first on Wednesday, and Frank has already had both. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Hey,
Look at that. We're getting vaccinated. We're going to have herd immunity at Andavo Travel, if nowhere else. We'll be able to travel. Let's just hope our clients can, right? Yeah,
Right.
that's exciting to hear that many of you are getting shots or scheduled to get shots or are, going to be soon. And it's happening pretty fast. So that's awesome. Great news. One of the things that Asta said in one of their, actually it wasn't Asta, it was a different industry consultant that said this is, he thought that there is a very good likelihood that at some point this whole industry is going to start to snowball, and that travel agencies are going to not be able to handle as much business is going to come at them. It's going to be coming at them at a flood, and they're going to, be understaffed and be unable to handle it. So let's hope that happens, right? That'd be a good problem to have, to be understaffed. And
Yeah, I have seen several articles on agencies preparing to hire back in order to accommodate the flood of requests that come in as the vaccines go higher and higher and people are ready to start traveling again.
so Teresa is moving to Texas just so she can get her shot. Awesome. I guess you're going to have to figure out how to get a Texas ID in order to get that shot when you get there.
And Colette sent out an email earlier on from the Salt Lake City airport and some of the Delta plans in preparing for flights to be jumping based on the vaccinations. One of the lines is that they're planning on adding 1,100 more flights in the next month. So,
Wow. Yeah, it could happen. I mean, it's one of those things where it's just kind of like the word of mouth sort of thing, where people start hearing about their friends traveling, their businesses, associates traveling, their relatives traveling, and everybody's going to want to jump on the bandwagon. I know I'm sure feeling that way. I'm ready to travel.
yeah.
Um, what kind of questions do you have for me? Oh, Teresa says no, never. She's not going to get. So you're going to have to figure out how to get in line without. Maybe Texas doesn't check your ID. I know in Utah they told us we have to have our ID with us when we get the vaccinations, because ours is not only do you have to be a resident of the state, you have to be a resident of the county that you're going to,
yeah.
and you have to be able to prove that. So that must be different in Texas. More people getting their shots, feeling okay today. That's good. Welcome herding. Yeah, I'm reading a lot of positive stuff. I mean, I'm still, you're all reading the same stuff I am, but there's a lot of positive industry information right now that's out there about the whole industry, and everybody is predicting that leisure is going to come out ahead of corporate. Everybody's predicting that. So, and we're seeing it internally. So you guys are well
I'm
positioned.
starting to hear a couple of things from, I think it was Crystal that sent out last week that they were going to require all passengers be vaccinated. And so I don't know if that's going to be a trend with other companies. I think that will be more easily done with those adult only cruise lines or adult only locations, but I see that being a challenge with locations that are family friendly or cruise lines that are family friendly.
So, Mary, what state do you live in? I see that your county has a backlog, and that you're still vaccinating the 82-year-olds, or that the 82-year-old clients are waiting. Boy, where is that at?
Mary's in California,
Mary's in California,
Northern California. Yeah.
Northern California. Well, I hadn't heard of any other states that opened it up to 65-year-olds. So ours did that last week actually, and they had a really good plan. They had it where prior to that, it was 70-year-olds. And so they had it where 5 days ago, they did 69-year-olds, and then they did 60, 68-year-olds the next day. And so last night at 6 o'clock, they opened it up for actually 66-year-olds yesterday. And we were sitting there with our computers side by side and got appointments at the same place within 30 minutes of each other. Oh, California is open to 65-year-olds too. Okay, great. That's good. Just the one county's behind at the 82-year-olds. Okay. All right. Plumas County is the one that's behind. Well, if there are no other questions that you have for me, I mean, somebody's got to have some kind of a question for me. I doubt I can answer it, but because you're all reading the same stuff I am.
Right.
But most importantly, oh, San Francisco is also 65 plus. Okay, one down, one to go. That's awesome. Well, that is good news. We have quite a few clients that are in those age ranges, right? The 60s and 70-year-old age ranges that travel. So I would think that you know some of them will start traveling sooner than later, and that will benefit all of us. Well, thank you all. Most importantly, just thank you. I mean, it's crazy to think about the fact that it's been a year. Here we are a year later.
Yeah.
And in 2 weeks, it will be the official pandemic date in about 3 weeks, actually, the 1 year date. But the good news is when in a month from now, we're going to be comparing our numbers year over year to what we were doing last year in April and May. Things are going to look really good on year over year numbers because we weren't doing anything in April and May last
Nope.
year. We actually had negative sales in April and May. We were
Yep.
doing more refunds than bookings for those 2 months, March, April, and even into May. Thank you all. Good luck to you. And I'll look forward to seeing you next month. And hopefully we'll have even better news next month with, the trends that we're seeing. So I'll
Great.
drop off. You guys have a great discussion. Thank you all.
Okay. Thanks for the update, Mike.
You bet.
So I did want to update you all on something that we just saw, and I'm going to pull this up from Allie. Hang on here just a second. I'm going to get this link here, and then I will share my screen. So this just came out. It's a website that will help with, okay, can you guys see that now? So it's got a calculator for just planning and managing your expenses through the ERTC and PPP. So if you have not seen this, we'll send the calculator or the link out to this. But one of the things that we did see in this is that if you are an ASTA member, that there is no cost to you to use this tool. If you are not an ASTA member, you could become one. Or else they are asking for just a donation to a couple of different organizations. But this is something that is a benefit to our ASTA members. You could go in and just use this calculator. It's just something to help you with planning some of those expenses or how you have that money allocated. And we'll get that out to everybody as well, so you can see that. So I wanted to just check and see if anybody had anything else that was on their mind or that you wanted to discuss while we're on the call. You can put that either into the chat or just go ahead and unmute yourselves and we'll just have some time to chat with each other. I have been just taking a look kind of on a daily basis of the invoices that are coming through, and many of you are getting some very good invoices coming in. So I know that there is some work going on out there. A lot of it's still domestic travel, but some starting to look at international as they're getting their vaccines done and anticipating some ability to travel soon. There's still a lot of those borders that we can't quite go to, and there is going to at some point be a big rush for people to start traveling. And so, if you guys are planning ahead and getting yourselves prepared for if you're reaching out to your clients or doing anything with them marketing wise, we'd love to all hear what's kind of been working for you as you're preparing for travel to be returning.
Hey, it's Jan here.
Hey, Jan.
Hi. It's like for me, I don't know. It's like one step forward and three steps back, because all over the weekend, the Wall Street Journal, came out with this article that travel is not going to be back until 2022.
22.
That over 50% of people in Europe refuse to get the AstraZeneca because it's not that effective, and that over half of the travel companies are going to be out of business. So, I have huge Africa bookings. I'm just in a tough spot.
So you've got the interest, they're just hesitant
well,
about.
I mean, I've got them booked, and then,
Okay.
liability wise,
Right.
they keep saying they're going to add these flights, but Europe flights haven't added for this summer. I mean, it's getting late. I mean, I have 22, well, total I have 40 people on different trips scheduled to go to Africa this summer, and at some point you got to pull the plug. And I don't know. I mean, it's just frustrating. I just don't know what the truth is, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I think that is, there is still all of that unknown. When are our flights really going to be added back in? When are borders going to be opening? When are we able to really see the return of true travel versus when are we seeing the return of optimistic?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, nobody wants to be a downer, and y'all want to be optimistic, but
right.
Oh, yeah. And prices are unbelievable. I mean, that's the other thing, particularly in California. I mean, I had a hold on a family booked next Christmas in Hawaii, and it's like one suite and 3 connecting rooms, a 2-bedroom suite, and it's $175,000. I mean, for 7 days, it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable. And Mexico's the same, so I don't know if they're banking on festive, but I know in Hawaii, you can't find at least Easter, you can't find a place to save your soul on the Big Island. So, I mean, things are, I don't know. But I think the U.S. will be strong in Hawaii and Mexico. I'm just not so sure about Europe.
Yeah, and I think that the people looking for the deals are going to have to be looking for prices now, because as things start returning, the prices are not going to be distressed inventory. They're not going to be discounting, encouraging people to travel. They'll be, I think the rates into 2022 are only going to go up from what they are now. It is juggling that timeline that nobody knows what it is. The gamble of when to book and when it's too soon to book. And anyone else seeing anything, or
how do I put this?
well, I know we do have a couple of webinars coming up. We've got tomorrow, the antipodal training. I don't know if I say that correctly. And then we've got, Meredith, is there anything else this week, or is that the only one on the calendar for this week?
We have two. We have one Tuesday, which was Antipodal, which is luxury lodges of New Zealand, Australia, that area. If you don't know who Antipodal is, that's who it is. And that is on Tuesday at 1 o'clock Central Time. And then on Thursday, we have Seabourn at 11 a.m. Central Time.
Great, thank you. So I think those are the only updates that I have right now at this point. We are still working through the unused ticket, and I did find out that that project has become much larger than what I had originally communicated out to everybody. What we have done is really taken a step back before we imported everything into Magnatech, into the new system, to do a full audit of all of the unused tickets with all of the expansion or extension of the expiration dates. We want to make sure that the data that we're inputting into Magnatech is most up to date and current. And so we have engaged Travelport to do a full audit. So what they're doing is looking at every single one of our unused tickets that are in our database, verifying their status, verifying the funds, and verifying the expiration date. And as we get through that, we'll be doing the updates into Magnatech. The information is still in Air Portal, so if you are looking for anything or have any questions on anything, let me or Meredith know. We can pull that up or look at that. Also, the support team, if you want to have them look up the validity of a ticket, they can do that. It is, I know, going to take a little bit of time, but we do want to ensure that we have good, clean data going into the database so that we're starting that database with the most current, up-to-date information. If you have not downloaded or done the Booking Builder import yet, go ahead and get that done. I know there are some questions on Apollo and how that worked in Apollo. Kelly has been able to install it. It's working correctly for her in Air Portal. In Apollo. Danielle had a couple of issues when working in SmartPoint, but that has seemed to get resolved as well. So if you've not done that for any of our GDS users, go ahead and get that Booking Builder. Booking Builder is the tool that Magnatech uses. So Booking Builder sits in the GDS. Magnatech does its information through the Booking Builder tool. So all we're seeing of the Booking Builder full suite, we don't have the full suite rolled out. The only part of Booking Builder we're using is the Magnatech plugin that is for the unused ticket prompts. So any of you that had used Booking Builder in many years past, and there were lots of pop-up windows that came up, we do not have that aspect of Booking Builder. The only piece you'll see is the unused ticket prompt. And what it will do is show you whenever you start building a PNR and it's got the name field in, it will automatically do a name search and look for like names and that account number, and it will display any unused tickets that they have. So that is then displayed real time for you on your screen.
But Kirsten, are you saying, because I get 1,000 pop-ups with every PNR. I mean, I get a pop-up that says, do you need a waiver?
Yeah.
What are the rules? Are you telling me that
they
you
should not be seeing those. So I will make sure that we have that. The only thing that you should be seeing is the prompt for unused tickets.
Well, that always comes up on the side and it lists every unused ticket. Now I am finding it pulls it up by last name. So even if it's the first name is different, it pulls up a lot of last names, not necessarily the first name. But I also see, which I thought was actually kind of fun until it became annoying. But what I don't know is if you click on it, does it actually work? In the beginning, Kelly and I were clicking on it and it was empty. Nothing came up.
Okay.
But they're still, it's like check the documents. Do you know the requirements for this? I mean, eventually will that work? Because it's good information. Or no?
That is an additional thing. So what I just found out is that full suite is like $20 per month per user.
Oh, okay.
And so we would not be covering the cost of that, but the unused ticket prompt is just the only part that we should be using. So if you're seeing that, we do have more things opened up than you should be getting. So I will follow up with Kelly and Colette. Sounds like you're seeing the same thing on WorldSpan. So I will check on that as well. We do want the only thing that you're really seeing is that
Not
unused ticket.
Okay,
Right.
cool.
Good.
All right.
So that'll cut down on the number of pop-ups that you're seeing. Okay. Any other
Person, if
questions?
someone wanted the pop-ups, is that available? If they wanted to pay for them?
It is. And so if there is someone that wants, the only thing is that we on the leisure side have not gone through and determined what type of prompts we want to have. The booking builder prompts that are in there now, especially for Apollo, could be very old based on corporate agents having been on Apollo, 8 years ago. So I don't know how up to date some of those prompts would be, or even what it is programmed to look for. So if there is something that you want to look at what the full suite of prompts are, we can look at that. And then if you want to cover the $20 per month, then we are happy to have that and pass that cost through to you. But we would need to look at that to see what it is that the prompts are and the benefit then that you would have by getting those prompts. Some of them could be very valid. Do you have your TSA information in? That is a good prompt, regardless of whether it's corporate or leisure. But we can definitely take a look at that.
Okay. Good.
So Colette, I think there's two different types of prompts.
Oh,
there's
okay.
there's the smart point prompts that could come up, and that is not Booking Builder.
Oh, okay.
So Booking Builder is another third-party program that sits on the GDS that could prompt you like, this is the Southwest market, go to Swabiz to book that flight. Or this account has a discount on intercontinental hotels.
Well, they're mostly Britain is not allowing passengers. You need to quarantine for 14 days, just all that kind of stuff.
Okay, so those could be smart point prompts that are not listed, that are not part of Booking Builder. But we can take a look at that and see. And Meredith, maybe that's something that we take a look at with Colette to see if that is smart point prompting or if that is Booking Builder.
If I have unworked segments, rework your segments. And it's like, duh.
Well, but they didn't start to come up until I installed Booking Builder, but mine are, little boxes about visas and waivers and all of that. So I don't know. Maybe it's coincidental they just started when I installed Booking Builder.
So and there definitely could be Booking Builder prompts that you're seeing, and we just have the permissions to open for Booking Builder, and you've got the full suite. So we will want to take a look at that and make sure that we've got it limited to just the unused tickets. We don't want anyone to be getting a bill for $20 per month unknowingly. So I'll definitely take a look at that. Okay, anything else? All right, well, I will let you guys go and continue on with your week. So thanks for joining in today, and we will have Mike on again next month, and I believe next month he is scheduled, let me pull the calendar up, he is scheduled for the 15th. We may be pushing that back. It kind of depends on when the month end is and when they're able to get the final numbers for the month of February. So it'll either be the 15th or the 22nd. Right now, he is scheduled to join us again on the 15th. And just to keep you updated, I've got Wendy from Virtuoso scheduled to be on with us on March 8th. To give us an update on Virtuoso and some different programs going on with Virtuoso as well. So thank you all for joining in, and have a good week. We will see you all later. Bye-bye.